Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I'll open the shade a little bit, let some light in. Haha, still dark. First Dawn Busters of 2021. There's the Johnny Walker Striding Man embossed on the back of the bottle, and there is the adhesive label of him on the front. Clear though. Johnny Walker Red Label since 1909, actually longer than that, but they adopted the name Red Label in 1909. Before that was called Old Highland, I think, blended Scotch whiskey. And the black had another name also. I think it was Old Highland 12 year. This is a 3-year age. I know that because it's got a statement on the back. And it's in micro compressed print. But I can make it out. Age, a minimum of 3 years. Product of Scotland. And this is another one that's distilled and produced, another Diageo brand, distilled and produced and blended and aged and bottled under the royal warrant. They put that on the top. As an official whiskey provider to the royal family of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. James Frith. Ron, I got a good quiz question for you today. Oh, that's good. So, under a royal warrant, I doubt Queen Elizabeth and them are drinking Johnny Walker Red Label, but they might. Maybe they like making mixed drinks. Maybe they like cocktails. Maybe they don't want the intensity of the blue label. Okay. Here is the Chivas Regal. Chivas, the actual name, according to the website, is simply Chivas Mizunara. Chivas Mizunara. Part of the blend is aged in Japanese water oak or Mizunara in English. And it's got this aquamarine shade of blue. Looks more aquamarine in real color, not video color, video broadcast color. Like the Miami Dolphins marine, if they put a little orange on there, you think it was the Dolphins. But they got this gold color scheme, gold and blue, so it's like Coastal Carolina. University of Coastal Carolina. Difference between East Coast and West Coast IPA. East Coast is hazy. West Coast is filtered and clear. And usually higher ABV. And more bitter. East Coast is more fruity. That's from what I can tell. Okay. I prefer the West Coast, but some people prefer the East Coast. That's the thing about beer. You can choose what you like. Some people can't grasp that concept either. They say, well, I prefer these particular styles and brands, and you must prefer them also, or you're not my friend, and we are enemies. And I don't respect you anymore. You say, no, nobody thinks like that. They got some people who think like that. It's sad, but same thing with food. I like these certain type of foods. You must agree. But it makes sense because you have a totalitarian mindset. And then in this country, we have a totalitarian-oriented government structure these days, right? With more and more people embracing dictatorial rule, arbitrary rules. So it makes sense that people would think that way because it's operated that way. Okay, now the Johnny Walker legs are much skinnier, and the Chivas Mizunara legs are spaced out. Johnny Walker's lighter, gold, and the Chivas Mizunara is much darker, amber. No age statement, age 3 years. So how old is the youngest whiskey in the Chivas Mizunara? I don't know. It has to be at least 3 years age, but it could be 3 years, and then the oldest might be 23 years. Excuse me. And the rule: if you could have a 100-year-old Scotch in a blend, an 80-year-old, and a 35-year-old, and so on. But if you have one, maybe it's 36 whiskeys. But if one of them is 3 years old, that has to be the age statement, 3-year-old. So people would say that's only aged 3 years, but it could be a situation where it's just one component of the blend is aged only but 3 years. But they don't want to have to say that, so they don't say anything. You don't have to give an age statement, so they just say nothing. They don't refer to it. They don't talk about it. Johnny Walker, they say at least 3 years. It's blended. They have whiskeys in there that are much older than 3. But those cannot be mentioned. You have to mention the youngest. Okay, so that's the story on that. A lot of companies are going to no age statements again. At one time, it was they didn't mention age, and then in the 1930s, after Prohibition, there was a big emphasis on this is age 9 years, this is age 8 years, this is age, and that was because there was no production of whiskey, rum, gin during Prohibition, no legal production, I should say, and so then 1933. Boom, here it's legal. It's legal again in most states. I think in Mississippi alcohol was not allowed until what, 1980? Something like that. I remember we went to a state park in Mississippi in the 1970s, and my father brought a case of Dixie beer, and my mother was like, don't get caught drinking that, the police will. So he was being very sneaky about it. And in Louisiana, of course, there was no regulations, but except for some parishes, in more than the Protestant areas of Louisiana, the Anglo-American areas. So some of those are still very strict. There's no dry counties in Louisiana anymore. There are still some in Mississippi. Anyway, so people were like saying, I don't want to drink all this young whiskey. So then you had the companies saying, this old, this old, this old. As the 30s went on, you could make the years longer because of longer time going by since Prohibition ended. Then after World War II, you notice they would say, this whiskey was put in the barrel before the war started and all of that. So Casey Phantom says, good morning, Mr. Clean Shave. Cheers. Yeah, got to shave again tomorrow. My friend David was like, why did you shave? It's winter time now. It's when you need the beard. I said, I don't know. People at work were saying, well, your beard is so big. He said, you should have just trimmed it. I said, I know, but I just wanted to make a clean sweep, so to speak. And anyway, it can grow back. It takes no effort to grow hair unless you don't have hair. Some people go bald, and that's a situation. So now let's see about the light. It could be the days are getting longer now. Days are getting longer. Yeah, I see a little blue in the sky, a little bit. So you can see daylight or dawn bursting forth. All right. You notice that Johnny Walker Red is almost gone from this bottle. That's not even enough left for a taste challenge. But that's all right because I bought a huge jug bottle, the handle bottle, to replace this. So when this runs out on the next taste challenge, I'm going to have the big bottle right behind it to finish the glass, to get the appropriate level. Because I figured Johnny Walker Red label is so common, you really kind of need it if you're going to constantly do taste challenges, because it's just good and it's distinctive and it's reliable and it's consistent, and you can just keep utilizing it for years. You say, well, what about Jack Daniels for bourbon? I mean, that's true. I can't argue against that. But I'm not going out and buying a big jug of Jack Daniels, because there's a lot of other mainstream kind of consistent products too, sort of like Jim Beam, Evan Williams would work very well. It's cheaper, but it still would work very well for that. All right. I'm getting better. My nose, it's all clearing out. But like they asked me yesterday when they came over, my friend David and them came over. That's why I haven't answered comments in 2 days. I never get a chance to answer comments. I will answer the comments. I always do. It's just that I keep getting delayed. And they were saying, you feel better? I said, I never really felt bad, except for one day on a Tuesday. I felt bad. I went to sleep at dawn, as soon as it turned dark. I don't care. I didn't care what time it was. And I woke up, felt a lot better. I never felt bad. So it's just that I couldn't smell anything. I still can't much. And I couldn't taste anything for like 2 days. 2 or 3 days, I couldn't smell or taste anything. Everything tasted like nothing. Which, that's why I didn't do any taste challenges for days, because what was the point? I couldn't taste it. And I had to reshoot some of the whiskey taste challenges because I was thinking, man, these things are dull. I can't believe they would make something so tasteless. And then I realized it's not that tasteless. Now, what's going to break the tie here? Price. Well, it's not a tie because Johnny Walker, I can get that for $17.99. $17.99 at Martin Wine Cellar. They have it unusually cheap. Everybody else a little more expensive. $17.99 Martin Wine Cellar. Chivas Mizunara, well, they used to sell it at Total Wine and stuff selling it. They never sold it in this town, but it's going to run about $48, $54. More likely $54, $54. But I can get it at Savannah Discount right now for $18.99. Explain that. I don't understand it. When I bought it last year, it was $17.99. I paid $17.99. So a third of the price. I don't understand it, and I'm not worried about it. I took advantage of it, so I got it. But what's going to give it away is that the Chivas Mizunara tastes like honey-topped white bread crust. So I have to keep remembering these two. Honey-topped white bread crust. I've gotten 3 out of 3 taste challenges correct so far. So if I keep that in my mind, I think I'm going to always get it right. Aroma. Well, not much here, but I'm picking up a little sweetness, from grain, cereal grain sweetness. Just standardized whiskey. It would not be that way if I had my best smelling ability back, but I can see what I'm dealing with, or a little bit. Okay. Now, I know that Johnny Walker got smoke, but I probably won't be able to detect it. Got that smoke. Maybe I'm picking that up. I don't think so, but I noticed that this one over here smells denser, heavier. And I said that the Mizunara tasted darker, and I keep saying that makes no sense. Something cannot taste dark. That's a color, a shade, a tint. I say, I know. I'm saying this to myself. I know, but I'm tasting it. The darker qualities of it. And that's a giveaway. So here we go on the taste. Cheers to you. Thank you. We did that wrestling show last night, and I was trying to tell them, got to keep answering the questions, because they were going off saying, oh, this, and because, James could talk for about 5-6 hours straight with no notes on wrestling, just things he's thinking of, which is no problem with that. Except I said it was called Q&A, question and answer. And I was telling you, you're ignoring the comments. You're ignoring the comments. And then people weren't going to watch if their comments weren't going to be, questions weren't going to be answered. So it was mostly good. But next time, if there ever is a next time, there probably will be. We just want to go straight to, here's a question, you answer. Here's a question, you answer. Now, it will probably take a long time, and an hour would go by like that, because the answer might take a long time. You understand? The answer. That's why I wanted to last night really get on that, because then at the top of the hour, you haven't done any answering, so the people get angry. Casey Phantom. Oh, yeah, I already said that. Okay. Taste over here. So that one tasted kind of dark. And this one tastes light. And I'm picking up bitter cereal grain qualities. See, with my taste and all being affected by whatever I had, allergy or whatever, there's only certain things I can detect, like bitterness. I could pick that up, something bitter. If something is sweet, I can pick up the sugar. If something is peppery, I can pick that up. But other subtle things like peat, smoke, maybe honey, or I can't really too well. Although I did say the Chivas tastes like honey top white bread crust. So over here, I get the sugar. Remember, I said sweet, and the bread crust, and it does taste honey topped. And I'm getting the bitterness. See, normally with your normal tasting ability, it would all be blended together, right? Blended whiskey, and the bitterness would just meld with the rest. But this situation I'm in is bringing out certain flavors, notes, sharp bitterness. It jumps right out. It's sad though because you're missing other components. But it'll return, I guess. You say, what if it never returned? What if it's 5 months and you still can't smell or taste anything properly? I'll just stop doing beer reviews. I would stop doing reviews at a certain point because there would be no point to it. And then I would just go back to the old days of watching people's reviews and making comments. I'd still keep alcohol eggs. The Facebook group is very interesting to see what people are drinking and talking about, but I would not just be doing something for no point. But I doubt that would happen. Probably come back. It is coming back a little bit. Like I said, I could smell some Febreze yesterday. Sprayed it on purpose. I said, smell that. I smell the perfume, so that's a good sign. And then I smelled into that Vapo Rub today, that mentholated Vapo Rub wax stuff, that petroleum jelly stuff. And I said, I might. I was thinking that just a little while ago. I said, I might be able to smell that. Maybe. I can't. Normally you would smell it and jump back, say, whoa, so strong. So just trying to gauge things. Now, I think this Johnny Walker has more bread dough quality, meaning it's got maybe, don't know, can't say, but maybe a higher percentage of single malt whiskey in it. They don't just make Johnny Walker blended. The same company makes a whole load of single malt whiskeys that are used to put into blends. But now people buy them on their own. That's the story of single malt. 50 years ago, they were all produced to blend with grain whiskey, and then you have whiskey. They're just, people say Scotch. But then people got the idea, say, well, we could just sell the single malt itself as its own product, which was seemed as strange. And, most companies saying 50 years ago, why would you want to sell just the malt whiskey by itself? Who would buy it? It's not blended yet. You're selling a piece of a recipe. And so you didn't really get any sales off of it much, but it was there and people were buying it, you see. Kind of like craft beer started 50 years ago with, why would you want something so bitter? That's not the purpose of beer. You want to make it not bitter. You want to make it clear as a bell. You want it to have all the things that are expected from beer at that time. And then if it's not clear in yellow, then it's going to be Guinness or Murphy's. Other than that, but then there were people saying, we could branch out, try different things. And the big companies say, we tried all that. We tried to sell a pale ale. We tried to sell a Bock. We tried to sell an India Pale Ale. Nobody buys it. Ballantine's made IPA for years, up until 1997. Never sold. We don't want to drink that bitter stuff. Budweiser Bock. It was out there. Schlitz made a what we would call a single malt whiskey, but a single malt beer, all malt, no corn or rice. Erlanger. Oh, it's so great. Nobody bought it. We don't want that. So this is a new thing, the single malt or the craft beer. And now, of course, you say, well, it's going to extremes now because it's all this super hazy. It tastes like coagulated cereal at the bottom of the bowl. And they got all kind of like gimmicks with aged on a pig's ears and all. I know it happened. That will happen in the music world, and all of that. Would I pay 3 times the price for Mizunara as I would pay for Johnny Walker Red? 18 versus 54. No, would not. Because it's not that much better. It is arguably better. You say, well, that's a gimmick right there, aging it in Japanese oak and only a part of the whiskeys, probably even maybe even a negligible part of the blend, percentage of the blend. And then they upcharge it because they age some of it in Japanese oak. I mean, I thought that as soon as I saw the box, I said, oh, well, another gimmick whiskey, But. And I never would have bought it for $54, but they had it for $17.99. So, of course, I took the bite. And I'm glad I did. I bit. I'm glad because it tastes very good. If it's a gimmick, fine. I don't care. If it tastes good, then I care. KBS, Mackinac Fudge Stout, aged with the bourbon barrel, in the bourbon barrels with artificially flavored Mackinac Fudge coffee and all of this. You say that's the ultimate gimmick. Yeah, I know. That's why it's $20.99 a 4-pack. Is beer really worth $21 a 4-pack? I think we all know the answer to that question. But I bought it. Only one little problem. It tastes great. I scored it 100 out of 100. So you say it ain't natural flavor. Yeah, well, oh well, Oh well. No preservatives, I don't think. What did Jefferson Airplane say? Preservatives might be preserving you. All right. But these two have no artificial flavorings. Now the Mizunara, like I said, could be a gimmick. Okay, I would say as far as quality and enjoyment level, it's a draw. Johnny Walker, people slag on that, man, and I know why they do it, because they get cheap laughs and they get a lot of views. See, because when people click Johnny Walker, so they're going to look at it. But I've seen some of these so-called reviews. I say so-called reviews. They're like, "Hey, gang, what's up, YouTube? Hey guys." Like they're your pal, It's like, I don't even know these people and they're my pal. Okay. We're going to review Johnny Walker Red Label. And they're laughing while they're introducing it. I'm going to lower myself, the great whiskey expert, and I'm going to review Johnny Walker. And then they'll review it. Oh, it tastes like airplane glue. Oh, I'd rather be executed by having nails hammered into my head. Oh, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, yeah, I know what you're about. You're just getting those views. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. And if you win, you can join my account, my special viewer account, and get all this extra stuff. All you got to do is pay me. And I'll watch that and I shake my head. I'm like, that is definitely where I am definitely not at that. That'll be the day when somebody got to pay me to watch me drink beer. That's a madness. But that's me. I don't care. I don't care if people got special secret accounts and you can sign up and get a t-shirt and walk around the mall or the shopping center with a t-shirt saying somebody's beer reviews. Like, I'm thinking to myself, people do this. They walk around wearing a shirt from a YouTube channel. Can't understand it. I'd be embarrassed to sell the thing. I'd be more embarrassed to sell it than to wear it, and I sure wouldn't wear it. Okay. I'm going to say this to Mizunara, but I'm going to tell you right now, it is not shining through. You say, well, Cyndi Lauper would say that the true colors would come shining through. Yeah. But this ain't, you know. It's fine, but I wouldn't say it's any better. It's just a little denser in the taste, a little darker. But so this is the Chivas, going to say letter C on it. See, better. Ooh, ooh. That was the Walker. Oh, man. Well, I got it wrong finally. I had a feeling that was coming. But, hey, I don't care. What did I say the whole video? I can't hardly tell them apart. They're kind of like even. This one's not appreciably better than the other. So I couldn't even tell them apart. And I was fooling myself thinking it's darker tasting when it wasn't. Oh, you can fool yourself with these taste challenges. How many people do you see on the internet doing blind taste challenges? Let's think for a minute. Right, you don't see it. Why is that? Probably because they're not interested in it, actually. But there could be a more insidious underlying cause, which is they don't want to take the risk live and then be looking like they don't really know how to tell one from the other. Because some of these guys, they're out there talking about how great of an expert they are. I would never confuse those. I would never confuse it with that stuff. And I'm like, well, how do we know? You know, because you never do it. So we don't really, you're just making a claim, but we don't know you wouldn't confuse it. But you're not going to take the risk because then, you know, so I'm not out here to say, look at me, I took the risk. I did it. No, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. I'm just saying I'm doing it. It's happening, ain't it? But anyway, got it wrong. Oh, well, won't be the last time. Won't be the last time. Now, I would be shook up because the next one coming tomorrow morning is Johnnie Walker Blue Label. Now, if I can't get Johnnie Walker Blue Label apart from Chivas Mizunara, if I cannot tell a $229 bottle from a $54 bottle, I'm going to feel funny about that. And I'm going to feel ashamed and I'm going to feel embarrassed. Now, I could make the excuse. See, I could use that, say, oh, well, I was ill. I can't smell very well. I can't taste. But that's a hollow argument because people could easily see through that and say, well, you're on there. You're doing the challenge. No one made you do it. And I would say, yeah, you got me there. Okay, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I just can't imagine that even being handicapped by the smell and taste thing. I can't imagine I would get it wrong, Johnnie Walker Blue Label versus the Mizunara. But time will tell, won't it? Thank you very much for watching this video production.